Freaking hell, Wayne. Now, Wayne is insisting that we paint the firewall yellow as well. Now look at what I'm doing.
Because I want to work, or if I have to work under the hood, I want to be able to see.
Yeah. No, I suppose if we want to do a half decent job, we should sand it before we paint it. So
preferably, yes.
here am I sanding away. I want to be welding and stuff, not sanding. Now, well, look at that, eh?
Hey, a fresh coat of paint makes the thing brand new.
Yeah, it's just a primer, but okay, maybe you're right. I don't know, with my luck with paint, I just don't know how long it's going to be on there before it all falls off.
I think this will stay. Canary yellow.
Mudchrome yellow, man. Says so on the tin.
Okay, fine.
Canary. Well, I still got to sort out the wiring, but I suppose that does look rather smart. And I also suppose we will have to paint this whole freaking cab yellow too now as well. What is happening here? Hey, how's it, jokes, and welcome to this part of the shop again, where we are messing with my 59 REO Gold Comet car hauler project again. To be quite honest, I'm not exactly even sure that it's a 59. I have literally scoured the internet and I looked everywhere and I can't find a picture anywhere that matches the look of this truck. These fenders, the headlights and the bumper is definitely early to mid 50s. But the grille and the hood that is currently missing, have a look in this picture here quickly. That dates it to early to mid 60s. So I don't know, maybe this one is just some weird African bastard and possibly the only one in existence. So if any of you guys can give me more information, or you've possibly seen a REO truck that looks exactly like what I'm going to show you in the picture now, yeah, please let me know. I'd love some more information. As far as I can tell, this is definitely the only one in South Africa. And yeah, so far I can't find another one looking like it anywhere in the world. In the previous video we did quite a lot of work on the engine, cleaning and rebuilding and painting and testing and what have you. And we couldn't quite finish up because we were waiting for parts. Now we are still waiting for those parts. We need the front engine mountings. New ones are being made for me by Mountings for Africa. We're also waiting for the radiator that's being pressure tested and flushed and all of that good stuff. I'd love to get it started and going, but yeah, we can do nothing until we've received those parts. So yeah, we're starting to mess around with other things in the meantime. Like the firewall has just been repainted, obviously, as you've seen. And I think what I'm going to do next is to rebuild the carburetor and get that back on, because we still have to do that as well. I've opened up the old carburetor, and what do you think, Sean? It is
knackered.
Not knackered, but it's filthy. It's a good thing I've opened it. Yeah, so we can clean it up.
Much later.
Well, now that looks a whole lot better. There's a little bit of pitting going on down there in the bowl, but not serious, so I'm not going to worry about it. Busy taking the whole thing apart for checking and cleaning. Hey, please don't distract me now. Just now I forget what goes where and then what. This little thingy right here caused some panic. It's the needle from the float valve, and as you can see in comparison to my dirty finger, it's quite small. And I dropped it on the floor. So there I was crawling around on my hands and knees looking for the little bastard. And I couldn't find it anywhere. And I was already entertaining thoughts of how I would possibly make one, because where in the whole wide world would you find something like that? And then eventually I found it where it rolled in under the bench. So yeah, I guess that's a good enough reason to keep your floor swept, or at least the area where you work on these kind of things. So this little puppy that wanted to go walk about under my workbench drops in right there. Boop. Now for this little brass bracket that will hold the float. Yeah, from the wear and tear on these screw heads, one can see that this is not the first time that this carburetor has been taken apart. Okay, now a little bit of careful aiming to get this pin in here that holds the brass float in place. Brass, eh? I mean, not plastic, brass. This thing will last forever. There we go. Now you certainly don't buy a carb kit for this carburetor at your local auto parts store, especially here in South Africa. So I had to make these gaskets from scratch, by hand, right here in the forest. And this one should go on right there. Yeah, that looks right. I just want to test this float valve quickly. And to do that, I'm going to blow here into the fuel inlet line. So maybe you should lock your children away first. Because you're going to now have to stare into my hairy face. Let's see. Yeah, that's working. Right, so I think all is good in there. I've got my gasket. So we can now stick this on here. Yeah, it looks good. Find some screws. Or these screws. Screw this puppy together. Yep. Definitely not the first time that this carburetor has been taken apart. If you look at the wear and tear on these screws. Okie dokie, that's together. Just going to check out the manual choke here. Yeah, and that feels good. No noticeable wear and tear. So we're good to go. Alright, so now these fellows goes in there. Like that. This gasket should fit right there. Yeah, that looks good. And now this should go together like that. And it does. Only markings I can find on this old carburetor is right here where it reads Zenith. And this here where somebody got angry with it. But yeah, there's nothing else. Okay, lucky man, I've got the whole carburetor back together again. And I must have done something right, because there are no parts left. Except for this rather mysterious contraption right here. The carburetor goes onto that, and then this bolts down onto the inlet manifold. It says right here, Very Speed Handy Governor from the King Sealy Corporation, Ann Arbor, Michigan, USA. So that gives an indication of what its function is supposed to be. And here on the side it reads 2 distributor, 2 carburetor. But nothing was connected here when I took it off. And then if you have a look in there, it's got these 2 permanently open butterflies that can be closed through some kind of an action. There's nothing there. Nothing can be connected there either. I have no idea how it works. I suspect it must have been vacuum operated. But you know what? Who needs a freaking governor, man? I think I'm just going to stick it in there to act as a spacer for now. Because the existing studs is too long to allow me to take it out completely. I might change that down the line. Yeah. I wonder if anybody knows anything about this contraption. Okay, so I've got a new gasket there on the inlet manifold. Now the governor, who's not going to be governing, is basically going to go on here just for us to act as a spacer. Another new gasket. And then our refurbished Zenith carburetor goes on there. Just got to get the nuts in place. And then we're done. Okay, so I've got everything connected and tightened. I got a new return spring. Yes, it feels good. Now we're ready for a startup as soon as we get those other parts. I've got the old wiring harness back into place. Still look good to me, so if it ain't broke, don't fix it, right? Besides, back in the day they did things properly, so I can't see any issues with it. And I'm even going to keep the old original mechanical voltage regulator. I took it off, took it apart, opened it up, cleaned the contact points and the terminals, gave it a nice fresh coat of paint, and it's looking as good as ever. I wonder if I should not just open it up again. Maybe there's one of you guys who've never seen these old school things inside. Yeah, let's do it quickly. So how's that for a voltage regulator, eh? I bet some of you have never seen such a contraption before. Something from a bygone era, it's all mechanical. Look, it's got contact points right here, 3 sets of them. It's got copper coils and levers and springs, and you can even set the tension of the springs up here. Yeah, it's a far cry from today's little black chips with spidery legs. Stuff that I know less than nothing about. So the original rubber seal that sits right here on this cover broke up into pieces when I took the box off. So I made a new one that will now go in right there to seal it up again, and we can keep the water out. I also made some new wire clips because the old ones were very rusty. You know, that's easily done. You just take a length of aluminium, cut it to the width you want, and then I covered it with a little bit of heat shrink tubing, and that makes for a nice little wire clip. Inner fenders cleaned up, painted and back into place. Look at these cool louvers, eh? So I don't know what's going on here. I mean, all this painting, that's not my style. This is more me. Wayne, who is not here at the moment, is under the impression that we're going to paint this whole truck all nicely. I have got some ideas of my own. You will just have to wait and see. So I think I've got the carburetor sorted. Linkage is working well. Got a new fuel line in place there. So yeah, next step would be when we started to see if it's all going to work. I can't wait. We've been waiting for new engine mountings for quite a while now. They need to go right there where that wooden block is, and they have now finally arrived. One of a kind, custom made for us by Mario at Mountings for Africa, because you don't buy these puppies over the counter anywhere.
You're scratching yellow paint.
An ancient yellow jack for an ancient yellow truck. That's an ancient mechanical jack, 20 ton, which is very slow, but really powerful. So we're just jacking up the engine a little bit so we can get those engine mountings in place, finally.
Yes, finally we have new ones that you had molded.
Okay, Wayne, we've got it jacked up high enough. I'm going to take the wooden block out, and we get the new fellow right in there. Okay, Wayne, this feels good. Push in that bolt.
Okay.
Here we go.
Right.
Now you can get a washer on here and a nut.
Remember your Loctite.
Oh yeah, we got to do Loctite first. Okay. Okay, lucky man. Got those front engine mountings in place. Brand new 8.8 high tensile bolts. That put the Loctite in, Wayne, like you said I should. Yes. So I think we're good. Got the radiator back from Etienne at Silverton Engineering. All cleaned and flushed and pressure tested and all that good stuff. Looking good. Ah, and some new steel for future endeavors. And even a brand new cap. Thanks, Etienne. And we did decide to show a little bit of brass, but we're not going to polish it. Life's too short for that shit now. And look here, I saw this here on the radiator. Young Radiator Company, Racine, Wisconsin, USA. Is that the correct pronunciation? Racine? But there's a clue here that I find very interesting. Look at the manufacturing date. The 3rd month of 1958. That tells me that this truck must be late 50s. I mean, surely they wouldn't make a radiator in 1958 and then let it lie around until the 60s. Jeez, Wayne, no man, that's way too shiny.
Yes. But it certainly is yellow.
It's yellow, but I'm going to mess up the shine. It's too shiny.
That's okay.
Yeah, so Wayne is very proud of his shiny yellow grill shell. But man, I get stressed just looking at this thing. So what he doesn't know yet is that I'm going to be destroying his handiwork down the line. I'm sure some of you guys can guess what I'm planning to do. Yeah, so a little bit of a struggle to get these bolts lined up as it goes with these things, but the reconditioned radiator is going back into your shiny grill shell.
Awesome. Yeah.
Not going to stay shiny for long, I promise you. Pass me one of those bolts.
Rat rods. No, it's good. Let's get some character.
Oh, you're on my side, are you?
Yes.
You mean you don't mind if I stuff up your shiny paint?
Nah.
No. I think you're going to cry.
It's like, why do you wash your hands? I need to make them dirty again. So, I mean... Oh yeah, this isn't quite lining up.
This puppy is not going in.
Why?
Anyway, hey, it might be going. So Wayne just broke the virgin on his newly acquired ratchet spanner.
Yes.
Eh?
Pretty nifty.
Ah, what, 9/16?
That's it. Yeah. And it definitely works well for these little tight spaces, eh?
Good show, man.
Sure.
So there, up here, is this rubber piece, like a rubber flap or whatever, to obviously prevent the air from going across the radiator, which we just put back. Yeah, it's in still in good nick, eh? Can't believe it.
Yeah. What, a 1950 rubber that's still...
No, 1950 whatever, somewhere, long time ago rubber, and it's still good.
Yeah.
I can't see that anybody ever replaced it.
No.
Lekker, man.
Yeah. Oh, that's it, eh? Okay, so that's together.
Okay, so now before we can fit that radiator, we must just put these brackets back, because they take the stays. So Wayne is on the inside, feeling in the dark. Are you finding it?
Right, got it, yeah.
I'm just going to tighten up these nuts. Suppose I need a 1/2 inch spanner. Okay, hang on a mo. I need to find a 1/2 inch spanner, hang on a minute. Now where is my freaking 1/2 inch spanner now?
Is it not here?
I found it. Look here, my spanner or wrench, as some of you guys call it, is also made in the USA, just like the truck. I wonder if they still make spanners in the USA.
Made in the USA, okay.
No? But it's an old one as well.
I'm sure they still make spanners in the USA.
I don't know, maybe they all come from China now.
Oh,
I don't know. Right, bottom, inner bottom, you can go. Okay, now this one here on the right hand side.
We enter all of them first and then...
Enter.
I mean, yeah.
Enter the dragon. Do you enter a nut?
What? No,
I don't think I've ever entered a nut. I just freaking screw them on.
And now you're going to take on my yellow paint with your dirty hand.
Well, that's your problem. You wanted to paint it all freaking nice
yellow.
and fresh. And now he's worried about my dirty hands on his paint. Let's see if we can get this yellow heavy thing up. In place.
Wait for me. Get a grip. Okay.
Okay, aim.
That's where
Can you see?
heavy days now.
There we go. Something happened.
Oh,
I think it's probably in place. Let me check here.
probably.
No, I don't feel anything.
Oh, so we just missed it.
Can't see.
Okay, I'm very close. Oh, God. Right, where am I? Oh, you were there.
There we go.
All right.
Well, now what?
Let me get the stabilizer.
We need stays.
Yeah. Okay, you got it. Where is it?
So now I've got to stand here like an idiot and hold this thing upright. While Wayne is trying to figure out where the stay is and which way around it goes.
He's patiently unscrewing the nuts. Which turned out to be a little more stubborn than we expected.
Bring that thing, I'm getting tired of standing here.
Patience.
Na 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 na. Na 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 na. Na na na. Na na na.
Right. Okay, you say that goes around
Something like that.
the car, but I don't know if I've got it right now.
You in?
Yeah.
Kind of looks like it could be right. Well, we've got the stay in place. Me and Wayne is having a little bit of a debate about whether this is the right way.
It all goes about, do you remember what you did yesterday?
But it can only go one way, man. It's got to be right.
Yeah.
I mean,
Well, it's only 4 bolts if it isn't.
because this bend here needs, I think, was here to make space for the air cleaner. It's got to be like this. It makes sense to me.
Yes.
Anyway, we're going to get some nuts on here so that it doesn't fall down. And then we can step back and think about it. And if all else fails, there should be some videos about when we took it apart. We can
Yes.
always go and refer to those.
I suppose we can check it at lunchtime, eh?
Yes. I think it's right though. It must be like this.
1 hour later.
And now this whole freaking assembly is out again. And you can blame that on a lack of communication. Not between me and Wayne. No. It's a lack of communication between the engineers at the young Radiator company and the engineers at the white motor company. For some obscure reason, the diameter of this water outlet here on the engine is not the same as the one on the radiator. The outlet here on the radiator is bigger by 10 millimeters, 3/8 of an inch. I mean, what the hell? And this piece of freaking expensive radiator hose fits on here just fine. So that's no problem. I can think of no logical reason why this should be. Mr. Young, you've got some explaining to do, please. So now I ask you with tears in my baby blue eyes, where am I supposed to find a radiator hose with a 90-degree bend, set distance here and here, this one is too long, I have to cut it, a specific diameter here, and a larger specific diameter that side. I live in darkest Africa, man. Just come and have to come up with a bush mechanic, bush engineering plan. So here's my cowboy plan. I found a piece of pipe with a diameter that was pretty close, and I split it and made it slightly smaller and re-welded it so that it can now just be a tight fit in there. And then here on this side I've cut slots out of them and I squeeze it in a little bit to reduce the diameter so that this piece of pipe can weld on like that, because this fits my radiator hose. So I guess I'm effectively creating a reducer that will go in here. Now of course I can't weld this on here, so I guess I'm going to have to solder this mouthpiece onto the brass then. And my big challenge will be that I don't put in too much heat and melt all the solder down here. That will be a mess. I'm going to have to be really careful. I hope it works. I got my reducer welded together, and I also ran a weld bit along this edge here to create a lip so that the pipe can't slip off easily. Now I know this thing's going to rust, so don't tune me any grief. It's not the perfect solution, I know. If I could find a piece of brass tubing somewhere, but I mean, where in the world would I find that? So yes, if you see us standing next to the road a few years from now, busy patching a water leak, you will know why. Right, onto the silver solder business then. I've cleaned my parts as best as I could with wire brushes, inside and out. I've got a rather pricey silver solder rod right here. I've got my baby oxyacetylene torch. And I've even added a wet rag down here to improve my chances of not melting the solder or lead or whatever that was used to assemble this thing back in the day. So I guess, yeah, this could go pear-shaped, but there's only one way to find out. So let's do it. So I think it's best to focus my heat more towards the mouth steel part, because yeah, brass does conduct heat a lot better. So let's see how this is gonna go. I stopped because I wanted to baby steps here with the heat business. So I went and cooled down the wet rag again, and also saw that my nozzle was a little dirty, so I cleaned that. So it should be better now. That does look better. Okay, I think I'm going to stop again. I can hear my rag sizzling. So let's just wait a while. And imagine if this bottom melts off and just goes plop onto the floor. I think I will cry. I've added another wet rag. Rather safe than sorry. Success! It's done! And no radiator parts were harmed during the process. Let's clean it up for closer inspection. Yeah, so I don't claim to be a pro solderer, but I managed to get by, and I'm sure some of you guys are much better at this business. So you're welcome to nitpick in the comments, and maybe we can all learn something. But I don't see any pinholes, so I'm gonna have to faith and call it good. Yes, man. Now this radiator pipe fits properly, but alas. Progress have come to a grinding halt now, because there's no way I can get this thing up there by myself. It's just too heavy. And the barefoot mechanic has disappeared to go and replace someone's front wheel bearings. Yes, he's a bit of a mobile mechanic as well here in our community. So, I will see you again in the next video. Until then, as always, have a lucky one, my brothers and my awesome sisters.
Whatever makes you happy, it just depends on you. So think of